HTTP calls in JavaScript. So please pass your work, guys. Come back to Zoom. All right. Which HTTP request method sends the request to the server for resource updation?
Post.
And what is the status code we receive if the response is successful?
200.
No number.
100.
200. So making HTTP request. So moving on to the next. So let us make the same HTTP request and sending the data, receiving the data in JavaScript. Please pay attention. So in JavaScript, if you want to make a HTTP request, we have a built-in object called as XML HTTP request. So we will use XML HTTP request object class, which is an inbuilt browser object that allows to make a HTTP request in JavaScript. So we will create an object XHR shortcut, but we need to use XML HTTP request. HTML is for user, for us, for developer, for user interface design. XML is for machines, for understanding the instruction. So here we will use XML HTTP request object to interact with the server. First 2 points are clear. So we will use in JavaScript, if I want to proceed. Sometime back, I did the job in browser and in Postman application. If I want to do the same in my JavaScript, I need to create object for XML HTTP request. Only by this object, I can interact with my server. And what is the purpose of XHR? It updates a web page without reloading the page. So whatever the content, JSON data you want to retrieve, we can retrieve and we can update it on our console without refreshing the page, rendering the page. Requesting data from server after the page has been loaded. Receiving the data after the page has been loaded. Sending the data to the server, not in front end, in a background. So XHR object is used to update the web page with the data. Sending, receiving, once the page has been loaded, it has been launched, not at the time of initialization, loading the page. And everything is happening at the background. So these are the 3 steps. So please look into this. We will do XML HTTP request. We have 3 steps. First step is creating an object. I'm sure this step 1 is familiar to you. I said XHR. We are in JavaScript. So it is just an object name, variable name. This object is denoting XML HTTP request. Step 1 is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
These types of step is not new to us. We are creating XML HTTP request initialization, something called, and the reference is made in an object XHR. Future, by using XHR, I can by using XHR, I can able to initialize. At the time of initializing, in order to initialize, I have to use open method. So as name duplicits, open is used to send a call. What type of call? Either it is HTTP put method, post method, get method. We will be specifying. So open method is used to perform a HTTP call and it takes various parameters. The first parameter is method, post method, get method. And the second parameter is, what is this? You remember the URL which we have copied? HTTPS. Either for get access or post access, we will give the appropriate URL, followed with whether we want asynchronous access, one after another, synchronous access, or anytime if I get the response, it has to display back asynchronous. And if there is any security, I need to pass username and password. So whenever I'm giving a request, let's assume I am giving get method, I'm giving the request to the URL. Whatever the response body I'm getting, so that can be sent out with the help of sent method. So whatever I want to send. So if it is post, I have to pass the data. If it is get, anyway, I'm gonna to get. So depend upon post or get, we may either pass with the body or we will not pass. So I will repeat again. So step 1 is used to create XML HTTP request. Step 2 is another way of initializing it. So we will initialize XHR using open method. Open method takes HTTP method name as first parameter, URL to be requested as a second parameter, whether I want to explicitly set true false to perform asynchronous and synchronous. And if there is any authentication to my web URL, I need to pass its username and password. Whatever we have tried, there is no username and password. So after initializing, after establishing a connection, if I want to send any body, that I can send with the help of sent method. So you remember at the time of post, I want to send this body. You remember what option I chosen here? Under body, under raw, under JSON, I sent this whole body part. So that the data will be sent to this URL and the data will be posted. So for post, I have some body to pass, to send. Whereas in get, we don't have. Shall we do this? Shall we have a demonstration on the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Post the processing. Okay. How we will handle response, then we will come. So let us, I'm not going to use something new. So whatever we have tried some time back. What did I try? I said 55 and 65. You remember? So you remember I inserted two data, 55 and 65. Shall I get this record in JavaScript using XHR?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So please come along with me. Stop your work. I'll give you practice time. Don't do it now. Then you will not have a flow. So I have this project. Let me create sample1.html. So what is step 1? So let us, what is this? Let us have this HTTP call, but in JavaScript. So this is just a demonstration. You can use Postman to do this HTTP call as well as the respective online thing. But we are going to do the same in JavaScript. So in order to do the same HTTP call in JavaScript, what is the first step?
Create object.
Create object. Creating
These
object.
3 steps we are going to follow. Please come along with me. So let any variable, we used to have a practice, XML HTTP request is equal to new XML HTTP request. If I make any spelling mistake, please let me know. XHR.open. I'm not going to post. Let me get. What is the method I want to pass?
Get.
String. Yeah, get method I'm going to do. And I'm just going to copy the URL. I copied the same from my Postman, where whatever I get from this pet store. So I should get 55 ID details. And by default, I don't want to be in synchronous. I want it to be in asynchronous. In order to enable asynchronous property, You need to pass false. True for synchronous. That's all. And I don't have any body because it is get request. So empty body I'm gonna to send. So for sure, if I send, I will be getting some request code. Wait. Not request. One second. Status. So if the status is 200, it is success. If the status is 200, it is success. I want to display the response. If there is any problem other than 200 status, if there is any problem, let me display an error. Shall we try the same? By the way, I have not used post. I'm going to fetch. No body. If it is fetch, in order to post, I need to send method whatever the body I want to pass in the form of respective JSON. Shall we try the same? Create an object, initialize it by HTTP method URL asynchronous true or false, and there is no username password to access this HTTP call. Send it. I don't have any body to send, but I want to send this URL request, HTTP request. So whatever the status I'm getting via this object, if it is 200, I'm displaying the response, which I'm retrieving from this HTTP call. Can you see the output? Guys?
Yes,
Can you-
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Some time back, an hour back, I inserted this 55, this category ID, some name. So whatever the thing I have inserted, the same we are getting. So let me give 65. There's a problem with 65. I have 65. Wait. Check the syntax. What is the syntax I missed here? I think on curly braces.
I think before the status, the bracket should be there.
Before
Square
status.
bracket. Yes, ma'am. Square bracket, ma'am.
Square bracket, and status is a separate key. Is this fine? Do we have comma? I think comma here. Let
Yes,
me
ma'am.
change it as post, then I will send. Okay. Now let me refresh. I'm getting 65, read one maxi. See, whatever we did with this, the respective API site. And the same thing we tried in Postman. Now is the actual thing. Now I started with JavaScript handling this HTTP request. This is with respective to online API. Shall we create our own API and shall we create our own database?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you please mention again what this false signify?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
false.
We'll discuss.
Asynchronous.
So yeah, asynchronous true false. XML HTTP request, we used to call it as XHR object, is used to interact with server. Here, which server we are interacting? We are going to interact with this pet store Swagger. To this server via this URL. You can retrieve the data from the URL without having it to do full page refresh. This enables to web page to update only the particular part. So I don't want to have my full page refresh. Synchronous is not there. It is asynchronous. My JavaScript is giving, if it is, see, based on this second line and third line, if I want to go to server and I want to retrieve back the updated content, I need to refresh the page and I need to go to server and needs to come back. But I don't want synchronous communication. I want asynchronous communication to handle. And by default, this JavaScript is asynchronous in certain functionality. So XML HTTP is one of the asynchronous functionality that is what mostly it is used in Ajax programming. Ajax stands for asynchronous JavaScript and XML programming. And yeah, so XML request can be used to retrieve any type of data, not only XML, data can be retrieved. So we need to create object via this constructor. And yeah, you go through whatever the possibilities are there. And what was our thing? Send method, open method. Yeah. Can you see? Open method will pass 4 different types of way I can call open. One is method and URL alone. Method, URL, asynchronous alone. Asynchronous is Boolean value, true, false. And username and password. So method, any of the method, HTTP method, I want to use it. URL, string representation of the URL to send the request. Async, it is an optional Boolean parameter. So true indicates not to perform operation asynchronously. It should be synchronous. If it is false, I want to perform. Whether it is reached or not, the updated content I need to display. So that is why we use to true false. True indicates synchronous, false indicates asynchronous. And what is one more method? Send method and response method. Send method sends the request to the server. So if it is asynchronous, as soon as the request received, server will send the record. We don't need to wait synchronously. We will try once. What we can do? I will try put. Instead of breed 1, let me give breed 1, 2, 3. No. Patch. One second. Where is this? What this patch and put will do? We don't have that method. That is the problem. All right. So I thought whenever if you are making the changes, it has to refresh the content automatically. So the content needs to be changed without refreshing my page. Put and patch is not there. All right. Please come along with me. We started with creating an object via constructor, open method, send method. If the send is asynchronous, which is a default method, method will return as soon as the request is sent and the result is delivered using event. If it is synchronous, this method does not return until the response has been arrived. So synchronous needs to wait, asynchronous need not to wait. So send accepts an optional parameter which specifies the request body. So whenever in a post method or put method, we need to pass the body. But whenever if you are giving a request method like get or hit, mostly request body will be set to null. So whatever I have used, it is for get. So I don't want to pass any body because I'm going to get the content. Either I can send directly or I have to send the JSON format of body, which needs to store. Shall we continue? Shall I continue with next methods of HTTP, XML HTTP request?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Too late. So apart from that, whenever we are getting a response, so I gave a request. So by XML HTTP request object initialization by sending, I have sent a request. How I will get a response? So I will be getting, it's now time for handling HTTP response. So the above three methods are used to send a request. Once the request is sent, we will get the response. So the response will be in the form of any of the methods. The first method is onload method. The other one is error. Whenever the request could not able to make, and it will be resultant as error. The third category is on progress. Server is gonna to process my response. The response is not get over. It is progressing. Right. On load, on error, on progress. So whenever I'm giving a request, the response will be in the form of on load, on error, on progress. So before that, load event is fired. When the load is getting fired, when the request transaction is completing successfully. Guys, are you with me? Whenever if I'm giving a request, so this request has been sent to to my server, and the server processed the request. Then it will come under the state load state. This request could not able to process. There is a problem with this URL. At that time, it will be resultant as error. If server takes long time to process this, and sending back the response is taking longer time, that comes under the category progress. Progress event is fired periodically when the request receives more data. Still it is on progress. So either whenever if I'm giving a request, the response state will be in three different, it will be handled by three different methods. One is on load, on error, and on progress. So probably mostly we will handle on load. If there is any error, we will alert with the respective error message. One second, please read on the method. Yeah. So examples of HTTP request. So I'm sure first line, second line, third line is familiar to you. Even fifth line is also familiar to you. I missed third step. Why I missed third step is because I know my URL will get processed and it will return the response. Or if you want to ensure once the URL request has been sent, my server has been processed and it is returning back the result. It has been loaded successfully. In such situation, you can call via onload method. I can do the same under xhr.onload. Is that clear? I know in the previous demo, this will get processed and I will get the status as 200. So I did directly, but if you want to go step by step. So after sending the request, based. Once the server has been processed and it has been processed and it has been successfully sending the response. In order to confirm that, then to proceed next, you can have XHR on load. So on load, it is taking a callback function. The function is not taking any parameter, only I'm having a function body I have defined. Instead of traditional function, I defined with arrow function. Can you relate with the slide and my demo? I will not process progress and error. You can take a snap and you can try the same. Adesh, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what is this 10th line? This 10th line does?
Just it will check that on loading this message will means this will run. Just to check.
Vivek Kumar, you want to try? What is this 10th line doing in this code?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. No, I can't hear you.
No, ma'am.
And I think this will only work when the page is fully loaded or the request has been fully passed.
All right, let me go one by one. What is 7th line does? Harsh?
Seventh line is creating an object.
Creating an object for XML HTTP request. Why we want to create object? Harsh?
To get or post any of the link on the server.
So what is the 7th line? Why I need XHR? Can I have?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's an object link.
Why
Yes,
we need
ma'am.
to? Why we need to create an object? Only via this XML HTTP request object, I can communicate with my server in JavaScript. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
To which link I want to communicate? That happens with the help of open. So what method, what link, what type of communication? What is the send is doing? As name aptly
Sending
says.
the request.
Sending the request to server. And we are getting a response. So the response may be successful. The response may be on progressing. Response may be error. Once the response is successful, then what I need to do? That I can handle with on load. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It is taking callback function. So you can use function, open, close, usual way or arrow because no parameter. All right. So demonstrate the process of creating XML HTTP request and calls with different scenarios. Which of the following methods sends the request to server for processing?
Send.
So send, if the request is asynchronous, this method, as soon as the request is sent, result will be delivered. Since we marked false, that is why it is sending to server and we are retrieving back. Open is used to initialize newly created request with that respective HTTP calls. We have few more demos. I'll complete theory and then I'll come back. So whatever we did, okay, I know I used this link, whereas here I have text document. We will come back to this text document. All right. Synchronous and asynchronous differs based on the last parameter. So by default, my JavaScript is, see, Please look into same code. Only thing is second line get differs. If you don't pass any parameter, by default, JavaScript is working in asynchronous mode. So if I want explicitly to be in synchronous mode, I want to pass the property false, so that it goes to server and then it will come back. If it is asynchronous, as soon as the data gets changed in my server, automatically I will get the response. Take a snap of this. I want you to try this demo, not now. So I want all of you to try this as the first demo. I will not share the code. I want you to give a try. Not now. I will try 2-3 demos. Then you can try. So with the link, instead of empty string, if you change as post, you give this JSON format in curly braces and try to store the same. Please look into this example carefully. So I have get hello.txt. From hello.txt, I want to get the data. So if it is synchronous, if you try to get the response, you will be getting hello. Whereas if it is asynchronous, it is telling that if it is asynchronous, if the call has been not made, it will return an empty string. Take a snap of this, try, and ensure that hello.txt is there in your folder itself. Printing the response received post the processing of asynchronous request. Initialize, send a request, on load if the ready state is 4. So just aware of those numbers. Wait. So if it is 0, open not yet called at all. So 1, open has been called. 2, send has been called. 3, for loading. Once the operation is complete, what is a ready state? 4. So once the operation has been complete in my ready state 4, I don't have a problem. Status is 200. Then I am retrieving the response text. Else, I want to display whatever the status text, error message. So whether whatever I am processing, whether it is successful or not, it will be indicated only with numbers. So I'm sure you have experienced the same in Postman. For the next few days, whenever if you are making HTTP call, you will be understanding whether it has been successful or not only with the help of status message and the response code. So please look into this slide. So status code indicates type of response in web, particularly in computers. I'm sure you people are familiar with error number, error code. Every error in a computer is having a code. So likewise, HTTP call, when you are making the response code, indicates whether it is success or error. Please look into this code. If you want, you can take a snap of this. 100 to 199 information responses. 200 to 299 successful. Some problem, redirection happens. Client error. What do you mean by client error and what do you mean by server error?
Ma'am, does the client error mean any kind of errors in the request?
Problem at client side. Client may not have a network connection.
Improper input data.
URL is incorrect. The client is not having network connection. The client is not having that access. Cookies has been not enabled to access that site. Problem at client side, 500 to 599 server error. All right. So let us have various demonstration on this XML HTTP request. Yes, someone called me.
Ma'am, we can also return the value according to this, like the error status for 200 or 500 according to our requirement also.
No, not
Or it is
possible.
predefined.
Not possible, predefined. Whatever the numbers they said, everything is a default this protocol numbers. See, we cannot do. It's a predefined HTTP response status code. I am giving the request. Once it is done, it will return the response in the form of output as well as this message code. Many are again subdivision. Every 100 to 199, there is a defined message code. All right. So let it be. This is my first example, which what I have used that pet store Swagger. So listen carefully. Let me go to my next example. Second. Here, instead of what is this? Online API, let me use student details.json. I'm using a local file. Shall I? So for the guys, are you with me? Shall I continue? So
Yes,
let
ma'am.
me create a
Yes,
local
ma'am.
file from details.json. And here I will copy. So it should be in this format, JSON format. Instead of 65, let me give 105. I think I missed some syntax. There is a syntax issue. No. What is this? My browser is blocking this site, cross origin request.
मैम वो भी मेरी तलाई सर्वर
Or one second. I faced this problem. Thanks. I faced this problem. One second. This policy. 1 second. I should open my browser in this trust mode. Wait. Program files, Google Chrome application. You open chrome.exe, the same. Your exe of your Google Chrome. I'm not sure because so many settings change I made. Even I made in the previous way also. There's node command also. You check. If it is working, it's fine. You don't need to add this additional command. Allow file access from files. We'll close everything. I'll relaunch it. Get details.json. Not loading. Let me fetch it directly. When I do refresh, automatically see the changes. So let me have both the screen visible. Tell me whether it is in asynchronous mode or synchronous mode. Can you see? Did I refresh my browser?
No, ma'am.
So yeah, why this on function is not working? Okay, come along with me. So this is my second demo. So I have my JSON data in my JSON file, local file. So petdetails.json. So I am initializing my XML HTTP request. I'm referring my file. I'm sending a request. This init function alone, init and load function alone, it is throwing an error. Wait, did I use any other name? XHR dot onload, right? Then I need to remove false. Can you see the difference? So guys, no one reminded me about true and false. If it is false, what type of communication? And if I don't specify anything, what type of communication? If I specify false, what will happen? I am enabling synchronous mode. What will happen in synchronous mode? As soon as it complete, then it will be loaded, retrieved from the server, and it will be loaded. So if you are trying in synchronous mode, then you can try this onload functionality. So it waits until the load gets completed, then it will be retrieved, the data on your console or wherever you are. Even you can embed this in your HTML. You try this. Instead of console.log, you try to embed. You add it in your inner HTML element. So if it is false, if it is asynchronous mode, you no need to wait until it gets load. As soon as it retrieves from the server, I need to get the output on my browser. Yes, someone called me. You got it? So you need to enable this on load functionality only if you have. So you need to enable with synchronous request, we can get the output as the response it read once the request is processed. So if you don't specify true or false, it is in asynchronous mode. By default, it takes true. So whenever if you are making changes, you will get the output. Shall I continue with next? So I know sample 1 and sample 2 is so simple, but I am gonna to launch my own API. So listen carefully. Shall I go to next demo or you want to practice this? Come on guys, please respond.
I think practice, ma'am.
I'm practice.
So please practice in JavaScript. So wait, why can't I try one more? All right, I'll give you time, but before that, from the beginning, we are trying only get. Shall we try post?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all of you, please pay attention. Let us try post. Copy. And then I'll give you some time, some 45 minutes time, and then you can try. Followed with, we will see JSON server. So from afternoon, we were trying only get in JavaScript. Let us try post. What are all the changes we need to give? Post. So before posting the data, I want data. Shall I? What I can say? Wait. Button type is equal to button post data. Clef is equal to function. If I make any syntax mistake, please point out what I need to do. Let my response body or my input. Shall I copy paste this? Because for pet.json, I'm going to pass. What is the problem? Additional curly braces. Is that fine? Instead of 105, let me give 106. So breed 3, let me buy item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So please look into line number 6. So here I'm having an HTML element button. When I click a button, it will go to this function. So this function is we have an XML HTTP request, and this is my data. Ensure that the data is in proper format. So post. Let me post it to online, then I will store it in locally. So supposed. One second. Read this line. JSON.stringify method. What is the stringify method does?
Convert it into string.
Any type of data. It can be an array or it can be JavaScript object. According to me, line number 10 is an object. All of you agree with me? My machine will consider 10th block as an object. But in order to convert, it can be an array or it can be JavaScript object or any type of data to JavaScript. From JavaScript to the JSON, we have a method called as JSON.stringify. I'll try this. I am gonna to give an input in JavaScript language, but the data needs to store in which format?
Yes.
JSON. So in order to convert my JavaScript object to JSON, we have this method. Let me try. Four, 1, 5. Okay, I will store it in my local DB. Wait. This is new to you all. Please pay attention. But let me take false. No. Did I miss anything? One last try, else. Four, 1, 5, or we will try it in our local DB. Please pay attention. I am in sample 3. So let me use some time back. What did I create? Pet details.json. Wait. Double hyphen watch. It details 1.json. Let me try this. So I have created a new JSON file, pet details 1.json, and this pet details 1.json is taking this home URL. So I will take this post. So go to your open. Instead of this online, you use this post. Save. Go to your browser, refresh, click this button. No error. I don't have message also. I have not placed any console successful message. What is the URL I kept? Post. So you can go to your pet details 1.json. Right. If I have any syntax mistake, please point out. I don't have any problem. So whenever I click button twice, it is automatically adding default ID 2, ID 3. It should take my content. See here. So let me click button thrice. See, can you see the changes? I clicked button thrice. So it is taking ID 4, 5, and 6. It should not take default ID. It should take what? My pet details.
Sangeeta, input format and the JSON DB format should be same, or it can be different also. Format of
No,
the
that
data.
is why we used as a stringify.
Mhm.
Or we need to key value pair only. Everything
Key value
is key
pair
value
only.
pair. Yeah, that I'm sure. This data. Or what I will do is I'll remove others.
Yeah, only some.
I will no anyway we no need to remove, but let it be.
Okay.
So we will take ID and name. See, the thing is, I have enabled the local JSON server running in my machine. So you should install your server with this syntax. npm install, this is for global and this is for local. And then you can use this command. You can use npm command, but my machine this extension problem. So I will use npx. Wherever I use npx, you please use npm command. So npm JSON server, JSON-server _watch, and then you can give your local file name. So that you will get that link where you can able to, where it will automatically convert into HTTP link. So by that link, you can use Postman or Postman tool and you can test your data. Same thing I have tried. Okay, my last try. So this is enough. And moreover, my input is in the form of key value pair. Do I want to check on ready state? Those are all not required. Or okay. Dot on ready state change. This dot this dot, we should get ready state. This dot status. No, I'm not getting current instance.
On load, can you try Sangeeta on XHR1 on load?
On load if status equal to 200, just a message console dot log connection success. Let me click the button twice. I'm not getting any message. Whereas, so if I go to my pet details one, no.
ID 106 not got added, no?
It should get added.
Hmm.
What about this event? Did I made any mistakes? Send is also fine. So input one I'm converting.
आज तो भिड़ी था.
ID name. Let me give true synchronous. I think it will work now. And it's not at all loading. Ready. It is equal to if this dot ready state is 4. And what should be the status code? What should be the status code?
200.
200, 201, between that. One last try, guys, and then I'll tell you what I did. Once it is ready, or I will take comment. Comment is taking ID, body, post ID. 1 second. Instead of post, let me take comment. What are all the data it should be? You need to pass ID, body, post ID. One not 5. Comment. Not 5. Can you find any changes on this pet details 1.json?
ID printed.
See, some time back I took, whenever if you have JSON file, it consists of post, it consists of comments, and we will get the respective URL. See here. So I took comments and then I clicked my button twice. So automatically it is getting ID added. But the thing is, we want our input to get added. So no problem. I'll test this. You can take 5-10 minutes break. So post that, please open your Visual Studio and start with our first demo. You can take that pet store. You try to get your own pet ID, which you have stored some time back using get. And then you can create your own JSON file, and the extension should be .json, and have some JSON content over there and try to get the details. You try here, try both synchronous and asynchronous. So then, meanwhile, let me troubleshoot it. So instead of ID, I have to give my own user input. I know I'm doing a small, I know here and there I'm doing a small mistake. I'll correct it. Yeah. And one more last thing. So whatever I did, I will tell you. So by default, so I can, whenever I am in JavaScript, in order to store the data permanently, I can use JSON format, and you can create, by the way, JSON. So some days back, when we are in course 6, we people used DB server. You remember what DB server we practiced?
MySQL.
MySQL. I told you as of now, we will not touch backend. So centralized, we are gonna to use JSON server. So in order to JSON, all your node packages are easy and it is simple to install. So you choose any of whatever the file or folder, right click, open in an integrator terminal, or open your regular terminal. And you need to give this command. The first command I want all of you to give is npm node package manager install JSON-server. So you give this command, within a minute, your JSON server got installed in this project, in your machine. So later, you can automatically create and you can automatically watch the JSON file which you have created by using the command npm space JSON-server --watch. You can give the JSON file name. So let's assume my db1.json. So when you give this command automatically, so I'm giving. Oh my God. So I told you, no, in my machine, it is not npm. So I should give npx, not only for my machine. So this is because of that extension package. So you people give npm. So I will use npx. This X stands for advanced extension. So my db, let's say 11.json. So it will automatically create a JSON file and it creates the resources. Either you can access post, comment, or profile. So by using this link, you can use this HTTP link call. And you can test it in your Postman, as well as you can use the same in your application. I used the same. Have you noticed? So my current request has to post the data in this particular URL. But in order to access this URL, the current JSON server should be in running state. And synchronous or asynchronous, you decide. I want additionally 2 commands you to perform. Instead of DB server, we are going to use JSON server. I know so many things I have introduced. Just an introduction. We have a lot more to work on this JSON server. So only 2 commands. So right click. You can use the integrator terminal, or even you can open a command prompt in the respective folder and you can try. So that the current JSON server is running and you can able to watch with any of this URL. Can you relate with real world? Since it is local machine, it is local host. So only two more additional commands. First is installation and second one is for watching. I tried the same and I created pet details 1.json. The only problem I am getting is it is automatically adding a default ID, but whatever the data I provided, it needs to add. I know I missed one or two steps. I will troubleshoot it and I will execute this program. And instead of ID, let us store our pet details. Is it fine? Asif sir, anything you want to add on this JSON server? Why we are using, you can.
No, I think I think properly you have explained to them. See, JSON server is nothing but it is a API, right? Means we are going to expose some data in the internet. Okay, the API means what? Interconnection between the multiple application is being done through API. That is the what is the gist of all this what we are learning. So we want to communicate one application with another application. So what is the medium for that? JSON. JSON is the programming language which understand all type of programming or all type of platform. And when you want to communicate one application with another through JSON, it is possible. Okay. So that's what little bit introduction regarding why we are doing this. So more detail we will get to know in upcoming session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So along with you, I'll share my screen and I'll troubleshoot it. I'll add few more states and I'll try synchronous mode. So we can take a break of 5-10 minutes. So have your break, come back around 4:30. We will resume with the part, but you continue with those two demos.
Recording stopped.